Hello everybody, I'm Jake and this is Unpopular Culture. Today we are playing our character. It's Jevup Dargel. Last time on the D&D video, we actually rolled this character together. And today we're actually going to play like just a short, tiny dungeon thing to kind of simulate playing and how it works. So today is kind of a tutorial on how to play the game of D&D. Now, I did this in Tabletop Simulator, and there's Jevup, our man right there, with his he's got hammers and stuff. He's got some armor. Should reflect pretty closely to this. I just found it online. There's a little the artist who did it is down here. If you're that artist, thank you. You're great. So I made like just kind of part of a dungeon. We'll explore it a little bit together. I have some dice over here that I can actually roll. So yeah, we're actually gonna do this. So the first thing you need if you're going to play in person is you do need some dice. You don't need to actually be able to make all this kind of stuff. You can just play on a dry erase board, and I was going to do that, but I got this, and it had a D&D module, so I did that because it looks cool. Although people do play D&D on Tabletop Simulator, if that's a thing you want to do. Totally fine. Especially if your DM wants to put the time in to make all the dungeons and shit like this. I don't. I just like drawing it because we go a lot of places. So you do need a D20. It looks like this. They don't have to be metal or digital. You do need a D4. It just looks like these little guys. These are D6s. You can roll them. These are D8s. And then I have one each just in case I need them. I have a D10 and I have a D12. You don't need all of those usually because it looks like we're going to use D8s, D10s. I guess I do need the D10, huh? So I'll pull that over closer. D4s are common for DMs and anyone with light weapons like daggers, little hammers and stuff. But we have big ones. And usually D6s are the common damage die, especially early level, but apparently we don't have any of those. So that's just fine. So we do have our character sheet here on the right, and it's got all our stuff, so we'll go over that real quick just in case you have any questions. So the name is Jevup Dargel. We are a level 1 gnome fighter. We are an urchin. And oh, I forgot to put fighter here. Level 1 fighter. There we go. Our armor class is 19. And armor class is the number that an enemy would have to reach on their D20 roll. But the D20 does not include modifiers. So if they had a +3 to hit and they rolled a 9, they would have a 12, which would be under the armor class, so therefore they would miss. And the DM describes how they miss typically. And I'll be playing the role of the DM and the player today. So we have strength, and our modifiers for that: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. All of these stats affect base rolls that we will discuss. These are saving throws, which are not attack rolls numbers. These are all skills. We'll put some skills to use. We'll see what's going on there. And we have some other stuff over here. If you want to know more about this character and you just jumped on, I suggest going to the last video, which was how to roll a character. So let's set the stage. You, Jevup Dargel, were hired by some baron or something to go in this abandoned building and clear it of the threats that are there because the baron wants to build something new in here. But people are scared to go in. So you, an adventurer, are set to go forth and venture in. So some people think once you put the map down and then you immediately start taking turns. That's not really the case. You can actually move freely until we roll initiative, and initiative is basically when battle starts. So we'll do a top down just so you guys can see kind of what's going on here. Immediately you notice that and these walls are imaginarily, they go all the way up to the ceiling, so that you can't see over to the hallway. So you walk into the building, and immediately you notice everything on the inside is made of stone, much like an old dungeon. It has a very rustic feel to it, but not a woody one. It smells like old moss and just decay. So what do you want to do? And then as a player, you would decide what you wanted to do. You could, for instance, run all the way down the end of this hallway and see what there is over here. But there is a room to your right, but this program doesn't have doors in it. So we're going to say that we want to investigate this, although just pretend there's a door there. A lot of this takes place in your mind anyway, so there's a door. So we walk up to the door. What do you want to do when you get to the door? Would you like to just open the door right up? And now, if you are a DM, I suggest early on asking your players leading questions, such as, do you just want to walk up and open the door, or would you like to do anything else before you do that? That will make them think, oh, maybe I should check this door out, check it for traps. So let's go ahead and check this door for traps, this imaginary door. So that would be an investigation check, which is right here. That uses our intelligence, which of course we have a +0. We also are not proficient in it, which would add a +2, so it is a base roll +0. Now, as a player, you do not know the difficulty of investigation on here, so we will do this without knowing, and we will take our d20, we'll roll it, and we roll a natural 1, of course, our first roll in this, and we roll a natural 1. So the DM describes, after he finds out what your roll is, you look at the door and you don't notice anything different about it. It could just be a regular door. You have no idea. Okay, I would like to try to open it, you say as a player, and you do. Nothing happens. You walk right in. Once you walk into the room, you notice more of the same, really. It's a pretty empty room. It's just stone, save for there's a single barrel, and there is a table with a chair next to it, and one chest. So you say, as a player, I'd like to go over and I'm going to check out what's inside the chest on the table. So you walk over, and because you don't need to actually place these in person as you do it, but I like to kind of give the players a feeling of actual exploration, like their characters are moving, and also if they do something that happens to trigger an event, I know exactly where everyone is. Like, for instance, if someone goes deeper into this dungeon and encounters an enemy, initiative starts for everyone, regardless of their position in the dungeon. So go over here, and he wants to try to open it. I would like to try to open the chest. Okay, you notice it's locked. As soon as you go to it, you notice it's locked. So you say as a player, okay, I'd like to try to unlock it. However, we don't have thieves' tools. We have a Dungeoneer's pack. We are only proficient in thieves' tools. We don't actually own any. So we can't actually pick the lock, but we can try to smash it. And the DM says as much. You don't have thieves' tools. So go ahead and try to break it open. Okay. Make a base strength roll. Or you can try to attack it with your hammer, but that could break the contents. Okay, I'll try to pry it open with my hands. Or use the small knife, maybe, in my Dungeoneer's pack. Okay. So go ahead and roll a base strength roll. And that roll is a 10 plus our strength modifier, which is 2, 12. That is enough to open this chest. So when you open the chest, inside of it, you see a small potion. It's a little red potion, and when you shake it, the bubbles glow bright yellow inside of it. It's actually a healing potion. It's not a very good one, though. It's only a 2d4 plus 2 healing potion. Okay, so you go down to your treasure and you type 2d4 plus 2. It's a healing potion. 2d4 plus 2. So we know that if we want to use this, and of course, potions are actions that you have to take. If you wanna take one while in combat, you can take this. Right now, you have full hit points. You have 12 hit points, so there's no need to take it. Okay, the player goes on to say, okay, I'd like to also inspect the barrel. And the DM would say, okay, you go over to inspect the barrel. Do you want to just open it, or do you want to look at it? No, I think I just want to open it. You go to open the barrel and there's nothing inside. Okay, that's not very interesting. That's fine. That's a good note. As a DM, you don't have to make everything interesting. Mundane things exist in real life, and therefore they exist in Dungeons & Dragons. It's not a big deal. So your player says to you, okay, I would like to go back out into the hallway and walk down deeper into the dungeon. And you say, okay. And again, if they're a first-time player, would you like to just walk down the hallway, or would you like to be careful? Would you like to be stealthy? What would you like to do here? Just kind of goad them on. After the first couple sessions, I don't usually do that unless they're going to do something kind of egregious, or maybe I didn't describe it well enough as a DM, because it is your job to describe, and maybe they weren't, they didn't clue in on the thing. So sometimes you might be like, so just so I have this correctly, you would like to walk into the middle of that gang of goblins without any backup? And you say it like that, and if they still say yes, absolutely let them. It's fine. Personally, as a DM, I don't try to kill my players, but I let them kill themselves if they are so inclined. And that's a thing you can do. So you warn Jevop, but he's like, yeah, I just want to walk down the hallway here. So you say, okay, when you walk about 5, 10, 15 feet into the hallway, suddenly a net falls from the ceiling. Please make a dexterity savings throw. So we have dexterity over here. It's +2 due to our 14 dexterity. And a net is falling on us currently. So you say, go ahead and roll. And it is a 10 plus a 2 is a 12. I'm going to set the DC of this at a 15 because I am the DM. And that fails. So the net does fall on top of Jevop, causing him to become restrained, and for all intents and purposes, he is prone. And then at the same time, two skeletons walk from around the corner, and they begin to attack. And now we're going to roll initiative, because they're going to get the first round here. So let's go ahead and roll for the skeletons. They're just going to share the roll. So let's see what their initiative is. Their initiative is 5, so we're just going to keep initiative on here so you guys can see it. Okay. And we'll roll for Jevop, who gets, because of his dex, he gets a +2 to initiative. And he rolled a 9 plus 2 is an 11. So let's just go ahead and Jevop, 11. And so because he rolled well on his initiative and it's not a surprise round, we're going to let Jevop try to get out of this net trap before the skeletons can get to him. Now, they are within range here of a melee attack, so we'll discuss that in a second, the implications. So first up, Jevop is going to try to just get himself out, and it's going to be a strength save of, let's say, 10. It's just a net, not a big deal. And he has to strength saves, he has a +4, so 15 plus 4, that's plenty, that's 19. He pulls the net right off. Now, as a player, it is important to know that if you are within 5 feet or 10 feet if they have a weapon that has +5 to reach on it, they will get opportunity attacks if you try to walk out of range. So instead of walking out of range, what we're going to do is we're just going to wait here and hold our turn. Just let it be known that we have 1 Warhammer and the shield out, so our armor class is at 19, so these skeletons are going to have to swing pretty hard to hit us anyway. They only get 1 attack each. So, but if we were to move, for instance, before we even got there, they would each get to swing their swords. And that goes for you as well. If the skeletons were to retreat for some reason, and you were within 5 feet of them, you would get a swing at one of them. You only get 1 reaction like that. So the skeletons are going to swing. Let's make 2 attack rolls. His armor class is 19. Skeletons, let's say they have a +3 to hit. So 11 plus 3 is 14, not enough to hit. And 18 plus 3 is enough to hit. So we do hit Jevop, and skeletons get a d6. Let's call it a +1 to damage. So 4 plus 1 is 5. So some people like to count up. I have one player that likes to count up, so let's count up because it's fun, because you can count up, or you can just erase this and subtract it, and so you say you have 7. That's fine too. It doesn't really matter. It's totally fine. So let's count up. So we just lost 5 hit points. We have 7 hit points left. Let's go ahead and let's make an attack roll against one of these guys, because they can't kill us if we kill one of them, right? So let's go ahead and make an attack roll against the skeleton. We're going to do it with 1 hand, though, so we can keep our armor class up, because we are low on hit points already. A 15 plus 4, 19. That is plenty to hit 1 skeleton, so we're going to hit this guy right here. We're going to go ahead and roll a d8. That d8 gets a +2 to its damage if you look over on our thing right here. So a 5 plus a 2 is a 7. And we're going to say that this skeleton, when you hit it, it also, I believe they take extra damage from bludgeoning attacks. They are weak against it, so they would take double the damage, I believe. The skeleton bursts into a bunch of bones, and it is dead. Actually, let's just delete it. So you kill the first skeleton. Now you can move again because you still have movement. You don't have to do these in any particular order, but we're just going to wait again for the skeleton to attack. So let's go ahead and have the skeleton attack one more time. Probably one more time. Oh, it's cocked die. Let's do that again. 13 plus 3 to hit, 16. That's not going to beat a 19 armor class. So Jevup gets to go. Let's go ahead and throw a d20. A 9 plus 4 is going to be a 13. That is just barely enough to hit this skeleton. So let's go ahead and roll a d8 for damage. Roll damage. And a 4 plus 2, 6. Let's go ahead and kill that skeleton as well. So he smashes 2 skeletons back to back. He rears his hammer up, smashing it on the head, making the jaw and the skull just implode onto the rest of it, and it collapses in a pile of bones and dust. From that, you'd get some XP. I am the DM that does XP after you start taking a rest, not during a thing. So let's just go ahead and say Jevup wants to move forward. And now I say, because again, he is new, keep in mind that you are low on hit points, and you can always use your healing potion, or you can take a rest if you'd like to. So he walks into here, and he sees just a regular old area, just like before, but there's barrels stacked up. Now you can try to climb over the barrels, you can try to pick up and move the barrels, you can smash the barrels. However you'd like to decide how to get over this is absolutely fine to go on to the rest of it. But also over here is a little, you see what looks like a hallway from your vantage point. Okay, let's walk over to the hallway. Walk over, and again, there is a chest. Okay, so he's going to walk over to the chest, and he's going to say, okay, I would just like to open it. And it doesn't open. It doesn't open. But when he tries to open it, when he lifts it up, he hears a little chink, and a dart shoots out from behind him, coming towards him, and he hears it. He gets a chance. So go ahead and make a dexterity savings throw. We're going to keep this DC difficulty class of this at a 12. So that means if he rolls a 10 with the +2 to dex saves, he will succeed this and avoid the arrow. And he rolled a 19 + 2, 21, plenty. So just in time, Jevup, being a gnome, he is shorter to the ground. He ducks his head, and a tiny bolt, like from a crossbow, flies over his head and hits the wall in front of him. So at that, the chest actually clicks open. And inside is just one more healing potion, but also, let's say ×2 over here. But also 20 gold pieces. So let's go ahead and add that to our total here. So now you have 30 gold pieces. And we have 2 healing potions. Let's go ahead and use 1 healing potion actually right now, he says as a player. So go ahead and roll 2d4s and then add 2. And that's how many hit points you will recover. Look like this. Go ahead and roll it. It is a 1 + 2. So we have 3 and 4, so that heals us right up. 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, now we have full hit points and we can move forward. Now, Jevup has decided that he wants to try to climb over these barrels. So I say, okay, go ahead and make an athletics check to see if you can get over those barrels. So an athletics check, we go over here. That is a +2 to athletics due to our strength, but we are not proficient, so we don't get to add the extra. So let's go ahead and roll a d20. The DC on this is just going to be simple, pretty much a 10, 50% chance of getting it in one shot. A 19 + 2 again, so yeah, 21. So our hero Jevup Dargel easily clears those barrels, moves down the hallway a little bit, and then we ask, okay, what would you like to do? And Jevup, knowing that this place is filled with danger, says, I would like to stealthily walk up to the end of the corridor where there is a large 10-foot wide door. Okay, you say, go ahead and roll a stealth check. But remember, we do have chainmail, which is a heavy armor, so we have disadvantage on that. However, we also have a +4 So disadvantage doesn't mean you don't get to add any modifiers. It just means that you have to roll 2 d20s and take the lowest and then add your modifiers. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first roll is going to be a 17 plus 4, which would be 21. And then a 16 plus 4, which would be 20. So you assume that Javip did pretty well here. So he goes ahead and walks down here, and he gets to the door. And when he gets to the door, we ask, would you like to look at this door and be careful? Or would you like to just slam it open? He would like to sneakily open the door. So let's go ahead and roll one more stealth just to make sure that he can slowly roll the door. Now another DM might say sleight of hand to try to slowly open the door, but I like to use stealth for this sort of thing because he's trying to be sneaky. He's not trying to be articulate with his hands necessarily. So we have to roll with disadvantage again because we are wearing heavy armor. So 14 would be a 10. Let's see what this is, and a 13. So he's got a 14 on this roll. And he does. He opens it nice and stealthily. And inside, because he rolled so stealthily, and the door swings in like this, he can see basically everything over here. And over here are actually some steps. And an ogre. And 2 goblins just sort of waiting around. Just sort of waiting around on these steps. Maybe they heard Javip coming, but they don't see him yet. So what we're going to do is actually, from just inside this door, so if you'd like to, you can pick up your piece and move just inside the door. You can say, I'm going to peek around the corner, and I'm going to take a shot with my light crossbow at this goblin right here. Try to kill him. I would say just go ahead and make an attack roll on that goblin not expecting you. So we're going to go ahead and make an attack roll. It's a 9. Our light crossbow is a 13. That is the armor class of this goblin is a 13. So we're going to go ahead and roll a 1d8 plus a 2. And that is a 7 plus 2 is 9. And so you creak the door open, just slightly look through, stick your light crossbow out with your left hand, and take a shot at the goblin. And immediately you shoot the goblin directly in the heart, and it dies. At this moment, though, both the goblin and the orc see you and their fallen comrade, and it's time to roll initiative. So go ahead and roll initiative. And so we're going to roll for the orc, which is a 19. Let's give him a plus 2, so that's a 21. The goblin, he'll have a plus 1, 7, so that's an 8. And let's roll for Javip, who rolled an 18 plus his 2, he got 20. Oh, the orc gets to go just before him. It's too bad. That was actually pretty close. So, the orc decides to take some movement. Each square is 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. He will move just to sort of get in the way of Javip here, but he's not quite close enough, so he's going to take a shot. Let's say he throws one of his javelins at Javip. So he's going to rear back and throw a javelin right at Javip. 17, let's give him a plus 2. It's an armor class of 19 for Javip. Javip loses ties. 19 is the number they have to meet, not exceed, so he does get hit. Let's call that a d6 plus 2 for the orc. So he takes 5 points of damage. Now it is Javip's turn. He is actually going to run in, still holding his warhammer, and he is going to bash the orc on the top of the head. Ooh, a 17 plus the 4, more than enough to hit, so let's go ahead and roll a d8. That is a 6 plus a 2, that's 8 damage. You smash into the top of the head of this orc, and immediately you can tell that you put a lot of damage on this creature. His jaw sort of cracks from the impact, and he's bleeding profusely from the head, but he is still standing. As a DM, this is kind of a way to describe not only the action to kind of make it more interactive, but also just let your people know without just dropping just HP numbers. Let them know kind of the conditions of each of these, because you wouldn't know the hit points of a person in real life. or an orc in real life. Why would you know them in D&D? So, the goblin's turn is next. The goblin, just seeing his buddy get hit, probably his boss get hit pretty hard, is a little frightened, but not too much. So he's right here for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we're going to just put him. So we're just going to put him right here. And he's going to make an attack with his short sword. Oh, and he rolled a natural 1. Now, for player characters that roll a natural 1, I will make them confirm the roll. Confirming the roll for me is anything 5 or lower confirms the critical failure, and then something bad happens. Anything else is just a miss, but an ugly one. So in this case, if the goblin was a player, he would confirm the critical miss. So a critical miss could be something like he swings and hits the ogre instead, dealing 1d4 worth of damage. He does 4 damage to the orc, slicing him right above the thigh, and the orc screams out in pain as the goblin, a little frightened and a little flustered from all the action that just suddenly happened, hits his friend, and the orc is not looking good. But it is the orc's turn. The orc is actually going to, let's see if he's intimidated by this. As a DM, I like to add stuff for flavor like this, so I like to see if maybe the orc, because of this, is going to attack the goblin, run away, or just go ahead and attack Jevup. So I'm going to say a natural 1 is him running away. Anything above that but below 5 is him attacking the goblin. Anything else is just going to attack Jevup. So it looks like he's just going to make another attack at Jevup. So let's go ahead and roll an attack. He's going to go ahead and use his axe now. But that was a 2. It was a 2 plus his 2, which is a 4. That does not beat the armor class. Jevup easily deflects the blow with his shield and prepares his counterattack. We're actually going to put the shield on our back for a second, which is a free action to do. And we're going to two-hand this Warhammer, so we're going to be able to use 1d10. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is a 19 plus the 4, plenty to hit. So we're going to be able to use a d10 and add 2 to the damage here. And that is a 5, 6, 7. So you bring the Warhammer over your head, you smash down with as much force as your 2 arms can muster, and you cave the orc's head in, causing a bloody mess in front of you, and bits of teeth grind into what used to be the upper lip of the orc. So he is dead. The goblin, at seeing this, his boss, anything below a 10 and the goblin will flee. Oh, and as a 14, the goblin stays true to, I don't know, the mission at hand, or maybe just his hatred for heroes in general, and faces Jevup. Because he has 2 little daggers here, let's go ahead and make 2 attacks with the daggers. On an attack roll with 2-handed weapons that don't have the feat for 2-handed weapon fighting, only the first damage roll gets a bonus to its damage. So the first attack with the right hand is a 6 plus the 1 is not enough to hit. And the second one is a 9 plus the 1, not enough to hit. So the goblin goes to make 2 attacks with the dagger. The first one just misses outright. The second one is deflected by Jevup. But remember, he didn't have his shield out. He had the 2-handed hammer. So his armor class was only 17. Still fine, though. So he's going to pull the shield back out, and he's going to take a swing, an uppercutted swing with the hammer. And he's going to specifically aim for the head of the goblin. Now, if your characters want to make an aim shot, add what you feel is an appropriate level of difficulty to the roll. So just add some armor class to the goblin, but in this case, allow for extra damage to occur if there is indeed a hit. So instead of a 13 to hit the goblin, let's go ahead and raise that to a 14 because it's an aimed attack at the head. So let's see what Jevup does. A 9 plus 4 would have been a hit. That is actually very convenient for me. So it's 13, but because he made an aimed attack at the head, he gets to use that extra AC, that goblin gets to use the extra AC, and therefore he misses. He tries and he just barely couldn't get it. The goblin sort of ducks out of the way, kind of knowing what was coming. Maybe he telegraphed the blow a little bit. So the goblin is going to go ahead and make another attack, this time just with the short sword. He's feeling more lucky with the short sword. A 15 plus 1 is a 16. That is not enough to hit. So again, Jevup, like we said when we made the character, pretty resilient for a level 1 character. He's going to go ahead and make another roll himself with the Warhammer, this time not aimed. And a 14 is plenty. We'll go ahead and roll that. That's actually an 18. Only a 1 plus 2. That's actually pretty bad luck because the goblin does not have that many hit points, like 6. But he's actually fine. So poof, right in the side of the ribs, and you can hear like a crack, and you hear the goblin gasp for air, but it is still standing. So the goblin getting hit so hard but not dying, well, thanks to his lucky stars, and he decides to just run. Anytime, you don't have to roll for decisions all the time. As a DM, you can just decide. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. He's going to run up the stairs. But Jevup gets an attack of opportunity, so he's going to do that. He's going to take one more swing with his Warhammer. And 13 plus 4 is 17. That's plenty. He gets to roll another one. And no matter what, he kills him because he only has 6, so it's still 3 more. So while the goblin is running away, Jevup takes a swing at the back of the goblin's head, and the back of the head caves directly in, and you can see blood squirt from the mouth of the goblin, and he goes down immediately, killing him. Jevup then decides to continue into the dungeon. But before he wants to do that, he feels like he's in a safe area. There's some stairs right here that lead into a great beyond that he can't see. He wants to take a short rest first. A short rest in my games is half an hour, and you get to use, per half hour that you rest, you get to use hit dice. Some DMs use any hit dice that you have. During a short rest you can use, that's whatever you want to do. I do it per half hour to kind of make the time feel important to the short rest. So he gets to use 1d10, and what this is a hit dice. Anytime you take a short rest, you heal up. So let's see, we use a d10 and roll it to see how many hit points he recovers from just resting. Only 1! So I'm actually going to go to 4. So we have 8 total hit points to work with right now after that. So that's it for the tutorial, the first part of the tutorial. You could say he goes on into the dungeon alone more, and he faces more challenges. Maybe we'll even do some more stuff. But for now, that's really all I had, because that kind of gives you the basics of what's going on here. We had skill checks, we had saving throws, we had some combat, we had some healing, we had a short rest, we had movement, we had initiative a couple times. That's really it. It's not difficult. I know a lot of people are daunted by all the stuff that ends up on here, but really all these numbers are just so that you know what to add to the things that you roll. Genuinely, all you need are these things. You just need a few of these. And even furthermore, you could get these on an online dice roller and not even have to buy physical ones. So it's absolutely fine. So yeah, thank you for watching this video with Jevup and our cool little tabletop thing. And now we can, of course, we could take Jevup and we could just fuck all that up. We could smash all the tiles, because that's really what this is about, right? We just want to smash all sorts of things. There we go. That's really cathartic. I think that helped everybody. A little cannonball action. There you go. Let's just see if we can hit Jevup real quick. Nope. Huh! Oh, Jevup died. Anyways, I'm Jake. This is Unpopular Culture. That's Jevup Dargell. Jevup will probably make a return whenever you guys have questions on how to do specific things in D&D. Like maybe you want to know how to cast spells. We can multi-class Jevup into. He's got a wisdom. Maybe we'll give him some sort of. You usually need a 13 wisdom to get into anything, but we'll give him some magic. We'll just give him some magic. Who cares? It's our game. Who cares? And he can cast some spells, and we'll do something like that. So yeah, go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Share it with your friends to teach them how to play D&D so that we can convert them and turn them into a nerd army of super soldiers to take down the world government, or whatever people think that super soldiers do and nerds do and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. I love you electrically. I'm Jake.